Boston. Brace yourself, the ultimate SEO rendezvous is coming your way. Introducing the 12th annual SEO Rockstars event, hosted by the phenomenal Dory Friend. It's the hotspot where SEO masterminds like Clint Butler, Tech Combiners ignited their journeys. I've attended SEO Rockstars for the past 5 years, and it's been mind-blowing. This year, it's all about AI reshaping SEO. Dive deep or risk being left behind. Miss the early bird special? No worries. Use the code SEOLOVE for special discount. Enjoy 3 days of immersive knowledge bombs, intimate masterminds, and networking with the creme de la creme of the SEO world. Lavish lunches, insightful evenings, and transformative takeaways. SEO Rockstars 2023 from October 27th to the 29th. It's not just an event, it's your gateway to SEO mastery. Secure your place. Visit SEORockstars.us today. Hey, what's up everyone? Happy Friday. If you're just tuning in, our very special guest today is Nick Swan, and we'll be talking about SEO testing in 2023. Nick is in the back, and he's in the chat. Say what's up, everyone. Let me know where you're watching from. How are you guys doing out today? Logan says, hi guys. If you're watching on LinkedIn or on Twitter or Facebook, if you want to ask some questions, it'll be better to hop on to YouTube if you can. And if you're just tuning in, we have our very special guest today, Nick Swan of SEOtesting.com, and we'll be talking about SEO testing in 2023. Nick, you mentioned that you were going to get a drink. Is it a beer or something?
It is beer, but it's non-alcoholic.
Oh, there you go. Love it. It's still a little, just a little before noon, so I'm still drinking my coffee. What's everyone drinking out there? Guys. So how many of you are attending SEO Rockstars this year? Great conference. Be sure to check it out. If you need a discount code, use SEO Love. Freddie Dickerson. Hi, Nick and Dre. Freddie, are you going to be heading out to SEO Rockstars? Ernesto says, yo, yo, yo. Freddie, maybe. All right. Be sure to use SEO Love for the discounts. Let's see who else has been in the live chat here. Maddox, happy Friday, fellas. Kobe says, hey. Lucy, welcome back. Looking forward to today's show. We got about 5 more minutes to go. Be sure to say hi in live chat. Stefan, my man. Always here every Friday. Thank you for coming by. Evening, y'all. Nick is all the way out in the UK, correct?
That's right. A small seaside town called Bude.
Dude. Oh man. Sipping on a non-alcoholic beer. So you love the taste? Is that what it is? Oh wait, hold on. Actually, so you're actually I put you on mute on accident. Sorry, but yeah. So you love the taste of beer?
I do, but I don't like hangovers. So.
Love it.
got 3 small children that need to go to the tennis club tomorrow morning, so...
Oh, there you go. I see a bunch of you out there. Don't be shy, guys. Say hi in the live chat. Oh, Chris Rice. Yo, let's test it up, Holmes. Yeah, this will be very interesting, guys. I know we have a lot of SEO testers out there, but I haven't seen, like, you know, people using an actual software and actually maybe they're just using certain spreadsheets and stuff like that. But so we'll talk about different types of testing methods and some ways that can help you out. Look into SEOtesting.com. It'll be a great episode, guys, for all my testers out there. If you're not using SEOtesting.com, we'll have a quick look into it and see what it can do. We're going to learn a little bit more about Nick and his journey as an SEO tester. One-man band for launching it, right? You're a one-man operation for a while, right?
And yeah, for a few years. There's 7 of us now together, though.
Yeah, because I was reading a bio somewhere when I was putting your bio together, and I was like, oh man, he's doing this all by himself. And then when I went to YouTube to like trying to grab some clips, I was like, wait a minute, that's not you. You must have hired someone. Today's topic is SEO testing in 2023 and beyond. All testing methods does not change as much. I don't think so. We'll find out more with our very special guest today, Nick Swan. Lucy, hi. All right, guys, we got about 2 more minutes to go. Be sure to get your shouts out, get your questions ready. If you have any questions on SEO testing and different methods, get those ready as we start the show in about less than 2 more minutes. Shy crowd today, guys. Don't be shy. Say hi. We won't bite. I don't know, Nick. Will you bite?
Definitely not.
Actually, you know, since you're drinking not alcohol beer, I'm actually drinking decaf coffee. I love the taste.
Wow, we are rock and roll, aren't we?
I know. I love the taste of good coffee. I'll do a caffeinated one like in the morning, and then but throughout the day when I like drinking, it's gonna be decaf. There's no way I'm gonna keep drinking. All right, so we got less than 1 minute to go, so I'm gonna put you on mute real quick, Nick, and then I will introduce you in about 8 minutes in. All right.
Hey Dre, how did the SEO find their way back through the woods?
Yeah.
What's going on here, guys? Let me restart this real quick. All right, so let me see here. Go.
No delay, let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera.
Hold on. Let me get this. Let me get this back. Let me get this. I want to make sure this starts off right. Did someone play with my buttons here? Did someone play with my buttons?
Knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre de Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest this week is the founder of SEOtesting.com, Nick Swan. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Adrian, Kaylin, Lucy, Chris, Stefan, Ernesto, Freddie, Logan, Victor, Maddox, Nick. So much people in the live chat. Be sure to say hi and hit the like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
Breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs. Get it, breadcrumbs. Hey Dre, how did the SEO find their way back through the woods? Breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs. Get it, breadcrumbs.
Google updated its documentation on debugging drops in the Google search traffic. This documentation covers site-level technical issues, seasonality, page-level technical issues, and reporting glitches. The link is in the description below. How Google Search sees your site content. Let's check this one out.
To help Google Search pick the right site name and show it how you'd like it, you can provide structured data as part of your website. By adding a bit of structured data into the content of your homepage, you can tell Google Search how you'd like the site name to be shown in search results. For those of you who can't add structured data into the content of their site, make sure that the name of your site consistently appears in the title of all pages. Some content management systems let you do that by setting a site-wide name. Some might require you to manually add the site name to the page titles, either before the page-specific title or after it. Also note that this only works for subdomains or top-level domains, but not on a per directory level. After you've done this, give it a bit of time for Google to process your updates to show the site name. You can also use Search Console and request the homepage to be re-indexed with the new markup to speed that process up a notch.
With the release of site names, I feel adding your site name to your meta title is less important. I mean, I recently disagreed with an SEO agency I was working with who insisted that we put the pipe/site name in the meta title. I mean, I feel the meta title has more real estate that can be used more effectively, where you can use your brand in the meta title rather than just using that pipe site name. What are your thoughts? Leave a comment in the description or in the comments below or in the live chat. How to link back to your money pages from press releases by Randy Rohde. Let's check this one out.
Naked URLs are always good and they actually perform very well in PRs, and I think that's a good strategy. And then, you know, if it's an inner page, what I would advise folks to use a long tail, you know, latent semantic related keyword, but a long tail. Maybe if you're specifically, you know, like in yours. So if you have you're working with a client in Brooklyn or in Manhattan or wherever, maybe use a long tail geographic focused anchor that you would want to use for maybe a particular location page on your site, or even go link to, you can link to the business.site as well. That you can hammer. I'm far less conservative with a Google property site as far as anchors. I'm like, oh, go beat those things up.
Yeah.
Press releases are big in my SEO ranking process. I mean, after the episode with Terry Samuels, I started actually stacking press releases and have been getting great results. If you need a discount on high quality press releases, don't forget to use SEO Video Show at magicpr.com. How to optimize media on Google Discover on Crawling Mondays. Let's check this one out.
You know, if you have a video, do you also have a text related version and vice versa? And how are those connected both on your site, but also on those off-platform surfaces like YouTube to make sure that they're showing up regardless? I do think that, as we know, there's an emphasis on visuals and video, but also just these images that are unique. We have a tendency to obviously have all of these, you know, Getty images and all of these areas that you can find stock photos, and people tend to use the same ones. So original art tends to do really, really well. You know, the Athletic, for example, we create graphics for some of our bigger stories, and I see that those tend to do better in Discover. And so I think that it's really coming down to that originality, but also keeping clear focus and trying to keep attention as much as possible, which is so hard.
If you want to rank videos on Google, check out my tip in the SEO in 2023 book, and I have more coming in the SEO in 2024 book. At a high level, SEO optimizes your at a high level, my tip talks about like optimizing your video scripts. I mean, I use like Pop or Quora on my video script for my target keyword. So far, I've ranked 100% of my videos on page 1 of Google for my target keyword by optimizing my video script. Okay, a ninja image at the fold SEO hack by Eric Landris. Let's check this one out.
One of my favorite SEO tricks that I discovered by accident by watching my users interact with my website. What I discovered is that having an image that cuts off at the fold actually encourages people to start scrolling down just a little bit to see the entire image. And what I noticed is that as soon as people start scrolling down a little, they're more likely to scroll down and read the entire page. What that does in turn is increases user engagement, increases time on site on my page, and it increases the user experience of my entire website, which Google loves, I love. It leads to safer rankings long term because the users love my website. So my name is Eric Landris. I hope you enjoyed this tip, and I'll talk to you soon.
It's a great SEO hack, and I will definitely test that out. And speaking of tests, that brings me to my favorite part of the show. Please ask questions on the topic, and I will address them in the order that they are received. But before we introduce our guests, here's a word from our sponsor. Ever wondered how to get your brand noticed? I found the answer with Magic PR. Thanks to Magic PR, my brand now reaches over 300 plus premium news and media outlets. I've seen my news on AP, Bloomberg, Yahoo News, and many more. And it's not just about visibility. With Magic PR's unique SEO process, I've noticed incredible boost in traffic to my site and improved local and organic rankings. From crafting the perfect press release to building a powerful SEO campaign, Magic PR is always there for me. Want to experience the magic of PR? Try Magic PR just like I did. Watch your business reach new heights. Nick has been building websites and doing SEO and online marketing since 1998. Most of the time he's been working on his businesses and writing articles about SEO. In 2017, he started building an internal tool to help with archiving Google Search Console data, which has ended up becoming SEOtesting.com. Please welcome the founder of SEOtesting.com, Nick Swan. Nick, mom, man, oh no! I think when we were trying to adjust your picture here, it kind of got a little messed up here. But I'm gonna go ahead and redo it. But before I fix this, welcome to the show, and everyone, let's get a round of applause. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Excited to do it.
All right, so let me go ahead and reset our position here just so we can make sure we're back.
It's fine, don't worry. I was worried about the background, right? Because I share the office with my wife, and I was saying to you earlier, like, do I have to tidy up, or can you zoom in a little bit? It
looks like you're very busy, man. You're very busy, and it's love that. Okay, so I'm gonna get right into it. In 1 minute or less, how does Nick get ranking on page 1 of Google?
Well, I don't do this, and it depends whether you want to stay ranking on page 1 for a long time or not. But parasite SEO seems to be the way of doing it right now, short term. if you're watching this now, that's kind of the answer in real time if you're watching it. But if you're watching it in 3 months' time, whether Parasite SEO will still work so well or not, I don't know. If I was looking to rank something long term, I'd be looking at the same usual stuff, checking the search intent of what you're trying to rank for, creating helpful content and building links to that content as naturally as you can.
Love that. Love that. First knowledge bomb of today. Let me rewind this real quick. Hold on. Nick, take us way back to 1998. How'd you first get into SEO?
Man, I had to think about this last night when I was looking at the questions. I was like checking the timeline of my life, like 25 years. That's a long time ago, isn't it? So I was just finishing school then and going to university in 1998. I'd always had computers around the house because I had an older brother. So we were always hacking around on Doom and playing games, Civilization, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I did computer studies at school, and I was going on to university to do software engineering. And the older brother who I just mentioned, he had his own business. And he said to me, you know, if you build me a website and get me ranking in the search engines, which weren't Google at the time, this was Alta Vista, Lycos, all those kind of ones. He's like, I'll pay your internet and I'll pay your rent for you. And I was like, this sounds like a fantastic deal. Yeah. So that's kind of like the first website I started building was the one for my brother's business, and started hacking around really with that. And it's kind of gone from there.
Love that. Love that. Okay, so I mean, how do you know that you did it? Like, I mean, how'd you how would you actually learn it back then?
Well, it was the same kind of thing. So looking around for information. Twitter obviously wasn't around then, but I kind of remember I was a big part of forums, discussion forums back then. So that was kind of the main source of information. Kind of blogging wasn't really a thing back in '98 either. Mm-hmm. So yeah, discussion forums, old-fashioned books, the old-fashioned way of finding out information really. And then moving on to that, it was kind of people did start blogging. The good thing about the SEO community is that people do share information. Mm-hmm. So as soon as blogs were a thing and people started up their own blogs, SEObook.com was one site kind of leaned on for information. Yep. Obviously Whiteboard Friday and Moz when that came out, SEO Moz, and then obviously moving on to Twitter and things like that.
Love that. Yes, SEO book by Aaron Wall. Aaron Wall. That was something that takes it way back. All right. So with that said, I mean, I'm curious. Like, what made you interested about SEO? I mean, like, what like fancied you to get into the whole field?
So as I mentioned earlier, I played games, so computer games. So used to leaderboards, all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like Google and SEO in general is to me like the biggest real life game. Mm-hmm. The top 10 of Google is the leaderboard. You know, you're playing this game of trying to build the best website to help the most amount of people and get it ranking as high as you can. Mm-hmm. And you can see, not quite in real time, but you can see how you're doing on that quest of getting positions 1 to 3. It's kind of your goal. So it's just, although it obviously is a business and like doing SEO impacts businesses and lives and that kind of stuff, I just see it as a big game. It's just good fun. I enjoy doing the work that I do.
Love that. And I know you said you mentioned like you were doing SEO book and forums and stuff like that. I mean, was there anyone that stuck out in your head like that you followed back then?
Do you know, I think SEO book was the only one I could think of and find that was still around. So like back in '98, again, this was pre-Google, so Alta Vista, those kind of search engines. It was a lot easier in those days, just keyword stuffing on pages, all that kind of stuff. It all changed. I remember second year at university, walking around the kind of computer science labs, and we started to see this Google search engine appear on people's screens for the first time. And it was like, what's this all about? And so, yeah, I like a lot of the resources that we were looking at then aren't around anymore. And I can't remember like the individuals that we were looking at, but yeah, it's fun times. It was like the Wild West.
Love that. I mean, when you said Alta Vista, for those that like are maybe too young to even know what Alta Vista was, I mean, how were you optimizing for that? Was it kind of the same thing that, you know, early stages? Was it just all keyword stuffing, or, you know, was there any special tactics back then?
A lot of keyword stuffing is all I can remember. yeah. But like even when like things moved over to Google and it was more around like link building was so much easier then because, you know, people weren't being spammed asking for links. If like an email was quite a novel thing for people to get back then. So if the way we did it back then was my brother's business, we gave a discount to people who were members of car clubs. So it was just, we built a little crawler that went round and crawled all the car clubs and people's email addresses were embedded in the HTML forms back then to send them the actual contact when you click the contact button. So you could just scrape the HTML and find out people's email addresses, send them an email saying, hey, we'll give your members 10% off if you give us a link. And they were more than happy to do that. So those are the good old days of link building, the easy days. It's a lot harder now.
Yeah, Chris Rice says those were the days. Yes, sir. All right, so and it takes it back to where Daniel says back to the GeoCities. Yeah, that was like probably like one of the early Parasite type of sites back in the day.
I guess so. Yeah, GeoCities, MySpace. Yeah, crikey, does take you back.
Love that. So take us to your journey, like to where you're at now. Like how did SEO testing come about?
So go in, finish university, got a job doing software engineering, building stuff, but I always had the kind of vision of kind of running my own business, wanting to run my own software business. And so I actually got involved with Microsoft SharePoint, which you may or may not know, a document sharing collaboration platform. Back in 2007, it was, at least anyway. And so with SharePoint, you can think of it kind of like WordPress, where you could build extensions and plugins to it to extend the functionality. And so with a friend, I started a business building web parts and plugins and extensions for Microsoft SharePoint. But I kind of took on building of the website as well as the software itself. And so I was doing the SEO on the website, getting it ranking, getting sales coming in, all that kind of stuff through online marketing. I finished with that in 2013 and was looking for another project to do. And I kind of got accidentally involved with the discount code space, which is kind of voucher codes, coupon codes, I think you call them over in the US. And that was an interesting space to be in. That was like the wild west of SEO in Google back in that time frame as well, of people kind of using subdomain renting, all that kind of stuff, which is still going on now. But when I was doing that, I was kind of had lots of pages for the retailers with the discount codes listed and so on. I was trying to craft the perfect page title and meta description to get the best click-through rate from the search results, and kind of trying to record all of that in an Excel spreadsheet. So because I've got a software engineering background, I was like, God, doing this in a spreadsheet is mind-numbingly boring, looking at these data points every day when Search Console updates, hopefully, and so on. So I was like, there's got to be a better way of doing this. Started looking at Search Console and realized there was an API. And kind of that's what got me started on that journey of, hey, well, there's only 3 months of data available. I can start to archive that in Search Console. And then I realized I could actually kind of start looking at the data that's in a database and using that for SEO testing and kind of automating it, of tracking the data before and afterwards. So that's kind of how that led in then to what was Sanity Check originally, is what we called it. And then we kind of renamed it to SEO testing, which is a story within itself.
Love that. So which brings us to our topic of today, which SEO testing. I want to talk more about just like the different types of tests that we can do in SEO. And at SEO testing, you can conduct all kinds of types of tests. And then one of the first ones that is called the time-based SEO test. I mean, for beginners, can you explain the concept of the time-based SEO test?
Yeah, so I kind of want to say to start with, I think as well, like SEO testing has kind of like been around as a topic perhaps for the last 5-6 years, maybe. Yeah. Well, back in 2015, I think Pinterest wrote on their engineering blog, they wrote a blog post about doing SEO split testing. And that's kind of the first mention I ever remember seeing about SEO split testing or doing SEO testing. But I think we've all been doing SEO testing ever since we've been trying to get stuff to rank, because we all make changes to websites. That's part of the optimization process of making a change to a page and seeing if we improve that ranking. So that surely is a test. You make a change to a page title or you refresh some content. That's the test that you do. See if you improve your rankings and get higher up in Google. So I think we've all been doing SEO testing. It's just now there's tools and more data available to do it, to make that process better. So in terms of what is SEO testing, I think it's just making a change to a page and then looking at the data from a time-based perspective, at least, which is the first bit I think you asked about. Yeah. From a time-based perspective, it's making a change to a page and looking at it before you made the change compared to after the change, and seeing how it was 6 weeks worth of data before the change compared to 6 weeks of data after the change.
Love that. Okay, and speaking of time in 6 weeks, I mean, how do you find the appropriate time frame of comparing? Like, why'd you even say 6 weeks? I mean, is there certain weeks? I mean, how do you deal with fluctuating traffic?
Yeah, I guess so we started when I first started building a tool and kind of promoting it. we had for time-based testing, again, we had periods of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and we added 8 weeks as well. And we kind of said, depending on what you're testing, you might want to change the time period. So for page titles, meta descriptions can be 2 weeks. For on-page changes or content refreshes, 4 weeks. And if you're building external links to a page, it might take a bit longer for those to take effect. So perhaps go for 6 weeks. But to be honest, the more data you can get, the better. So the kind of default answer now is, if you can test for 6 weeks, collect as much data as you can. Like you kind of said, there's fluctuations in data. So when we're looking at a time-based test within our tool, we collect the data for the site overall, as well as the page that you're running the test on. So as you'll know, a site improvement can lift all pages. So you want to look at that site data for the before and after period and see what percentage change has gone through, and then also compare it to that page that you're testing to see whether it's the increase you've got to that page is because of the changes you made to the page rather than an overall site movement up or down. So it's just giving you a value to compare against there. Yeah.
Love that. So that kind of talks, that's one of the things that we should be also looking for, right? But so what are some other misconceptions that users should know when actually looking at the data and actually interpreting this time-based SEO test?
Yeah, so like a lot of SEOs, and I do as well, we think we're data-driven. There's lots of data we get access to as SEOs, whether it's in Search Console, whether it's in GA4 now, whether it's in other tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, and so on. But still, although we have all those data points, click-through rates, positions, impressions, and so on, Google itself is still a black box. So although we can look at that data, we're more data informed rather than data driven, because although we look at that data and we can see how it changes we make affect it and so on, we can never be exactly sure what's driving the ranking changes and so on. We don't know the algorithm weighting factors for individual niches or even individual keywords. So yeah, what was the question again? Kind of started rambling.
Just looking to see some other things that we should just pay attention to, and and making sure that we understand the data and not thinking something else. So that's I was going to say it's about being data informed. So like we said before, you can do we've been doing SEO testing for years in my mind. Now we've been making changes. Often we'd use a rank tracker. We just look at the rank to see whether a change has made the page go up or down in the rank for the keyword we're trying to rank it for. Now we've got access to so much more data: clicks, impressions, average position, number of queries the page is ranking for, all that kind of good stuff. But when you're looking at the data from an SEO test, when you're looking at it before compared to afterwards, you have to look into the story of that data. So quite often, if you do a page refresh, for example, the page will actually start to rank for more queries. So the impressions will go up, but the clicks might not go up quite as fast. And so the click-through rate might go down. And so it's those kind of things that you need to look through. Just because all the KPIs haven't gone green and aren't necessarily better, you need to look at the story behind that data and think about it from an SEO perspective. Because if you start to rank for more queries, that's a good thing. And clicks have gone up, but not at the same rate as impressions have gone up. So click-through rate has dropped down a little bit. And that might have affected average position as well by ranking for those more queries on the kind of long tail scale. Love that. So let's go into more of some of the types of tests that you got going. So when we were talking earlier, you mentioned a single SEO test. What are single SEO tests, and how can we effectively measure the impact of a single SEO test?
Right, so there's two main types of SEO tests. It's time-based testing, which is what we're going to talk about first, which is the single SEO test. Then there's SEO split testing, which we'll come on to in a bit later. So with time-based testing, within our tool SEO testing, we break it into 3 different types. The last 2, which you'll ask about in a second, I think, were kind of driven by customer needs specifically, so specific testing scenarios that people wanted to do. But from the perspective of a single SEO test, this is often where you're going to take an individual page, one page, and just make a change to that page, and you want to test how it performs based on that change. So it could be a page title meta description change if you're trying to improve the click-through rate. It could be a content refresh, all the way through to I'm trying to test a new page design or a new page template, and I want to see how that page template design affects SEO. So you can test and get as small, as granular, or as big a change as you want to, and see how they perform before and after.
Love that, love it. So when it comes to single SEO tests, I'm curious, like, how about how do you kind of like ensure the results are not skewed by like external factors, like maybe seasonal trends or even like algorithm updates, like if something happened just like recently?
Yeah, so you've got to be careful and wary of that, definitely, with time-based testing. That is the biggest downfall of time-based testing, is algorithm updates and seasonality. So as a general rule, you know, for an e-commerce website coming up to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you probably wouldn't be doing any SEO testing anyway. You'd hopefully have everything kind of locked down by then, or locked in. So yeah, you do need to pay attention to kind of what's going on with algorithm updates, and pay attention to that with the data when you're looking at it. And this is, again, is about telling the story around the data, as much as just going with it from a data-driven perspective and seeing like it's gone up. That's great. Let's celebrate. You've got to look into, you know, what else has happened on the site, what else has gone on. One thing you can do from a seasonality point of view is do year-on-year testing. So within SEO testing, our tool, usually you would test like with consecutive periods, so 6 weeks before compared to 6 weeks afterwards. But you could actually test, for example, September 2022 versus September 2023. So you're kind of looking at the same 2 months in the year, to see how those two compared, assuming you made the change at the start of September 2023, for example.
Love that, love that. So now let's talk more about like the group SEO tests.
So these are exactly the same as single SEO tests, except you're making that change on multiple pages at the same time. So say you've got 10 pages, 10 blog posts that you want to do a content refresh on, and you're going to publish all of those content refreshes at the same time, and you want to see the results aggregated together. That's simply all it is. It's something asked for by our customers because they wanted to do this type of testing. As well as seeing the results aggregated together, you can drill into the individual pages as well to see whether there's an individual outlier that's, you know, given more data to the results or a bigger increase. But yeah, that's simply what a group SEO test is.
Love that. So I mean, what would be more the advantage of that compared to like maybe doing like a single SEO test?
Well, it's simply the case, like, so when I was doing page title meta description testing, I'd changed 10 different page titles and meta descriptions. It's just a case of not having to go through and set up 10 individual single SEO page tests. It's just doing them as a group. So you fill in the same information like page title, what your hypothesis is of what you're testing and changing, and then putting 10 URLs into one text area box rather than having to go through that process 10 times. So
love that, love that. Okay, now let's get into URL switch tests. That's another kind of feature that you kind of mentioned on your platform. So I mean, explain the concept of a URL switch test.
Does the name not give it away?
Switches.
It was the best name I could come up with for it. So it's a specific kind of SEO scenario that I'm sure you've done as well. So we take like a piece of content someone's published without thinking about what the URL slug is of the piece of content, and it's 25 words, really long, not very friendly from an SEO perspective or a user perspective. So say what you want to test is moving that page to a shorter URL that's got the keyword in that you're targeting, for example. So with the URL switch test, what we can do is the before period is the URL that the content was on, the old URL that it was on, and then the after period is we 301 redirect to the new URL, and then we pull the data out for the after period from that new URL. So we can compare how it performed as the old URL switched over to the new URL where it's 301 redirected to.
So I mean, how would that benefit? Like, say it got worse. How would you just remove the 301 redirect, or how would you like fix that test after? I mean, a URL that can cause some errors, right? Like, especially if you got indexed, and then like how is this actually like set up? Am I missing something? Like how it works?
No, I mean, like there's some general not best practices, but things that you want to do, right? A page having a long URL isn't good for anybody, I don't think. Like from a user perspective, if you're copy and pasting that URL to people to send, it's much better to have a short URL. So there's certain things that you're going to be doing from an SEO perspective that you just want to do to tidy things up, and you can report on that anyway, and report what the results of making this type of change are. But from your perspective of saying what happens if you do tests that go wrong, when I used to do demos to people of the tool and say, you can do this test and you can see whether the changes are positive or negative, and if they're negative, you can roll them back. That was kind of like my my assumption of what people do and what I was doing. But actually, speaking to customers, they actually iterate more. So if they make a change, do a content refresh, and they find out the results are negative, they won't roll it back. They actually just keep on iterating on it until they get the results they want. So they'll keep on doing more SEO or search engine, the optimization part of it, right? They'll keep working on it until they get a positive result.
Excellent.
Love that. Okay, so let's get into the SEO split tests. Can you kind of tell us more about SEO split testing?
Right, so SEO split testing only works for certain types of sites. So I'm sure like most people have heard of split testing from a CRO point of view, of button testing, color testing of buttons, all that kind of stuff, conversion rate optimization. So with CRO split testing, what you do is you install a JavaScript widget, and then people go into a page, will see either version 1 of the page where they see a blue button, or they see version 2 of the page where they see an orange button, and then it will calculate how many people click on that button to see which color should be the best, for example. That's like a real layman's explanation of it. With SEO split testing, or when you want to do split testing from an SEO perspective, we can't take one page and show 2 different versions of it to Google to see which version Google decides to rank better for it. We have to take a different approach. So what we do is we want to take a bunch of similar pages, say 50 product pages, and we want to put them into 2 buckets. We'll put 25 into a test group and 25 into a control group. Okay. We'll make the change that we want to test to our test group, and then we'll track how both groups of pages perform over the same time period to see if the test group ultimately will outperform the control group. I kind of said it only works for certain types of sites because you have to have lots of pages that are of the same type, that are based on the same template. So e-commerce websites work well for this because they have lots of product pages, category pages, those kind of things. Directory sites work well for it too because they have their kind of templated base layout. And the pages have to be getting traffic as well to help make the kind of test meaningful as well too.
Love that. Okay, so we got our first question here from the audience, and for those in the audience, go ahead and please start asking your questions as I'm coming down to closer to my last few questions here. But so Chris Rice asks, would you create a small batch or URLs to test, or run a test using a single URL? Wondering if catch yields more info, or if it's important to focus on one at a time. And this is about going back to the URL switch test, I believe, for the URL slug changes.
Well, for URL slug changes, you're kind of doing a one-to-one mapping often, aren't you? So it's just a one-to-one change. You'd set up a test for each of those 301 redirects that you're going to be putting into place. Kind of the scenario he's, I think, describing is kind of like one of the benefits of SEO testing, of taking, say, an idea is you want to roll out structured data across the entire site. For lots of sites that are big, that's like a really expensive project that can take lots of resources. You can take a small batch of pages to roll structured data out to and use that as a test. And if you see positive results from rolling out structured data to 50 pages rather than 10,000 pages, you can then use that as buy-in to get the resources you need for the bigger project. So I think maybe where he's reflects on that is taking small batches of URLs to run your tests on, get the results, and then use those results for the resources you need to get more SEO work done on your site.
Love that, Chris. Hopefully that answers your question there. So I want to go into more of, again, back to more on the SEO split test. I mean, when it comes to SEO split test, what criteria should one consider when setting up a control and test groups of URLs to split test?
So with our tool, we need URLs that are getting clicks. So as I said earlier on, and this is an often common thing I talk to customers about. They will try and run split tests and tests in general on pages that aren't getting traffic and aren't getting clicks. And you won't really get meaningful results from that because there's no data to work with before. There's no data for the pre-period, like the before period that you're looking at. So the one thing I would say is be braver and run tests on the pages that are getting clicks and are getting traffic on the site. I say that from a split testing perspective, especially because when you put your URLs into either your test group or your control group, what we effectively do on a daily basis is we do a delta between the two groups to get a difference in the clicks between test group and the control group. but we actually do an average of all the clicks in the test group minus the average of all the clicks in the control group. And if you're building your groups with lots of URLs that are getting 0 clicks, that's really going to affect the average and drag it down, and effectively almost make the test meaningful, because you're going to be trying to work out the delta between two like averages that are close to 0. So you're much better doing tests on pages that are getting clicks and traffic each day, getting a positive result either way, negative or positive, in terms of the actual end result of the test. And then if it is positive, be able to roll that result out to your pages that are getting 0 clicks and 0 traffic, and hopefully see those rise up too.
Love that. And of course, like, we need data and we need clicks to conduct tests. So, I mean, what would you say would be like a good amount of traffic to like send to, for a test? Because I mean, we can't just say like, oh, we got 3 clicks and call it a day, right?
No. So I get this question a lot, and it's I was watching the video Andy Chadwick did with you, and he said it depends to one of the questions, and he hated himself for saying it depends, but it does depend in this as well, because if you're doing time-based testing, the clicks aren't so important then, because you could be working with a keyword that's got a low search volume but has got a really high conversion rate, and you're working on a big ticket sales item, for example. So although the monthly search volume is low, you being able to go from position 12 in the search results up to position 3 in the search results will obviously get a smaller group of clicks, as in like generally what we look for in search volumes, like not many clicks, but they convert really well and they are of a high value. So it's in that particular scenario, you perhaps look at more at the average position across the before and after period, rather than the number of clicks changing dramatically or having a big effect. But from a split testing point of view, as I kind of mentioned, we want to be making sure that the pages that we put into each group are getting clicks on a daily basis, so that when we're calculating our averages before we do a delta, that there aren't pages with 0 clicks that are dragging things down. So I always try and suggest that the pages are getting up to 10 clicks, or at least 10 clicks a day, that you're putting into your test group and control group, to be able to then be able to get meaningful results out.
Love that. So I want to go into more of like testing historically. I think this is something that you also talk about on your site. Testing on historical data sounds like, kind of a retroactive approach. I mean, why would someone want to test on historical data?
Well, the nice thing is, from Google Search Console point of view, is they give us 16 months worth of data available. So whether you're doing this with a tool like ours, or whether you're just doing looking at Google Search Console yourself manually and setting the parameters and so on, if you've made changes historically that you forgot to set up a test for, or go and look at the results, you can go back and you can see that data. So within our tool, you can come into SEO testing, you can set up a test, put in the title, the hypothesis, exactly all that kind of stuff as you would do normally. Go back and set the date to, I don't know, April the 1st, 2023. And because we've got access to through the Search Console API, we can already go and get the 6 weeks before for you and the 6 weeks after, and show you the results of before and after straight away. Again, like I said, this is available in Search Console as well, so you can go in and configure those parameters to be able to do that. We've actually found from talking to our customers, so from our tool, there's two main uses that people are using the tool for. The first side is the experimentation side that we've kind of spoken about, like you want to test new page titles, meta descriptions, and see which is the best format to go with going forwards. But we found a lot of people are using our tool from a reporting point of view. So they've got their own ideas of what the changes they're going to make to pages, such as a content refresh, for example, right? We know Google generally likes fresh content, up-to-date content, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to run an experiment necessarily with that. But people still want to be able to show to their internal team or their managers, or if they're agency, they want to be able to show to their clients how a content refresh has performed. So people are doing content refreshes, making those content changes, and they can come into our tool and set it up as a test, a time-based test, and then they're able to show in-house or agency clients how a page was doing 6 weeks before compared to how it was doing 6 weeks afterwards, and say, look, these are the results of us doing a content refresh. Aren't we great? Give us more resources, give us more money, give us more work, that kind of thing. So it's been used as a reporting tool as much as an experimentation tool.
Love that, love that. So now we talked about all the different types of tests. I mean, I would love to get some advice on what to test, right? I mean, like we have all these different types of tests we talked about. I mean, how would someone decide on which tests to conduct for for a certain situation?
You can test anything on page. So typical stuff we've been talking about: page titles, meta descriptions, testing of those. Obviously, getting more clicks from Google for the same position in the search results, improving the click-through rate is like getting free clicks as far as I'm concerned. So if you've not got the optimum page title and meta description, or you think you can write a better one, then that's one thing to test and one way to go. Because a lot of template-driven sites use the same format of page title, meta description, like product name, blah blah blah, store name, and so on and so forth. Again, split testing lends itself open for split testing the right format of page title and meta description as well. So you can find the right format and then roll it out across the rest of the site. But yeah, anything on page. So content refreshes, we see lots of testing around that, time-based testing, internal linking. So again, if you're working with a client, and we know as SEOs that internal linking is a good thing to do, right?
Yep.
Every time I do internal linking, I generally see an uplift. But if you go to a client and say, look, we've got a 6-month project where we want to improve internal links across the site, they're going to go, oh, 6 months, that's a lot of resources and money. But if you can go to that client and say, look, we've done a 2-week pilot project where we've increased internal links from around the site to this two small topics, and these are the results we've got from doing this, they're more likely to see the positive results that you've done from that work and from that test and say, hell yeah, we'll buy into that. It's worth doing a 6-month project. Let's put the resources behind that to get it done. So internal linking, structured data, that's usually a big project. So again, if you can prove the worthiness or worthwhileness of doing a big structured data project by proving it on a smaller subsection of the site and showing the results. A lot of these things can give kind of marginal gains. So just, small increases in the performance of the page and across the site. The big changes that I've seen are bigger changes. So big page designs. Again, if it's a template driven site, if you're a coder behind the scenes, or can your development team make a change so that 10 of your pages are using a new template design, see how that reacts from an SEO perspective. I've seen those go both ways. So I've seen some new page or new site designs go really, really well from a testing perspective. That's great. They would then look at rolling that out across the rest of the site. But I've also seen them go terribly bad as well. And so rather than ruin the whole site, they rolled it out to, a small group of 30 pages. Yikes, our traffic has dropped off a cliff here on these 30 pages. We need to investigate what's going on here with this design and figure it out and not roll it out across the site. So, tests that don't work are as important as tests that do work. But then lots of other stuff. So
Love that.
Image use optimization, video content, EEAT, all of that stuff.
All right. So there's a lot of stuff there. So I'm curious, within your experience, I'm sure you conducted a lot of tests yourself. I mean, I would love for you to share some of your test results with some of the with our audience here. For example, have you mentioned keyword stuffing is something that you used to love back in the days. Have you tested that? Does keyword stuffing still work today?
I tried it all. Keyword stuffing, keyword with a white text on a white background. No, I haven't really. No. Stuff that I can suggest working today, I've seen positive. But I've got to say as well, like case studies that you read and that you want to go through and implement on your site, they could be from 6-12 months ago. So everything you should be testing everything on your own site, because each Google, in my eyes, ranks different niches with different factors, even down to the level of ranking different individual keywords using different factors and so on. So if you see a case study that says one thing for a holiday site, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work well for an e-commerce website, for example. So everything you see, you need to do and test. So even stuff I'm saying now, but from stuff I've seen kind of as a general thing, page titles and meta descriptions, kind of try and keep them shorter and snappier. I've seen when people rewrite page titles or make them shorter for categories, this is a theory for me. So they take if they take 3 different types of shoes and just put shoes instead, the page does better, because the click-through rate is better. But I think it could well be that it's because Google is rewriting more of the page titles to include more than just the 3 categories that you had listed in there before. Because you're just using shoes, it will actually rewrite that page title to lots of different variations of shoes that you didn't consider before. And so you get a better click-through rate from that. So try keeping page titles simple. The good old affiliate thing of putting the year at the end of all page titles to show that it's fresh content. I've seen some tests work really, really well, where if the content is old, take the year away, because if it's the best guide to XYZ published in 2019, in 2023, we're unlikely to click on that. But if you take that 2019 away, it will actually kind of make people more likely to click on it, because they don't realize that it's out of date, not necessarily out of date, but not, as fresh as it should be or could be, even if freshness isn't, might not be relevant. So consider testing that. Video now, we are doing that on our site lots. So for each piece of content we create a video around it as well. So we're getting good results from that. But yeah,
when it comes to video, tell us more about the video. So like, what's your strategy behind the video? You said so every piece of content you create, like on the website, you're also creating a video to supplement it. Like, what's the tell us more about that.
So we're this isn't from a testing perspective as much as anything. So one of our core things is as a business is trying to teach everything we know. And I guess the more we can teach across more different platforms and the more people we can reach, the better. So we work and write on a lot of content. That's kind of how people find us, from organic content. That's kind of our marketing channel. But from that, teaching people everything we know and wanting to be on multiple platforms, we want to reuse our content as much as we can. So from an SEO expert writing the content and publishing our content, we can then create a video off, which we can publish on YouTube, which we can then create shorts off for YouTube, which I know is a strategy what you're doing as well with these interviews and this content and things like that, which we can then take those shorts and use them on Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. I don't think we're using them on LinkedIn yet, but we could do. So it's about really is getting as much value from our current content as we can, really, across all the different platforms.
Love that. Okay, so let's go. I mean, we're coming close to the end of the show, but if you have any questions, go ahead and sneak them in. But I mean, for those that hasn't used or even seen SEOtesting.com in your tool, I mean, can you tell us more like how from the topics that we were talking about today on different types of testing, like how it can help, with these tests, how SEOtesting.com can help with the tests we recently just talked about?
Yeah, so there's a few different SEO testing tools out there. And so some of those other tools will get involved and will make the changes for you through either pushing traffic through a CDN or installing JavaScript snippets, and then they will there's a little admin interface and so on, and you can make the changes and roll it out through that. We don't get involved in any of that. So from an SEOtesting.com tooling perspective, you would make the changes to your site how you currently make changes. We just our job is really just to collect the data from Search Console for you in an automated way, and then present the data to you so that you can figure out what has happened and tell the story around that data to clients and in-house and wherever it needs to be told.
Love that. And for those like just wanted to get someone new into SEO testing, I mean, where would you even tell them to start?
Well, I assume, from the basis of still being in SEO and working on sites, whether it's your own sites or client sites, as we've already said, you can do back testing. So if you've made changes over the last 16 months that you either haven't collected data around or you've just forgotten about. So one of the good things about taking an SEO testing driven approach is that you do remember to collect the data around changes you make. And so whenever I'm doing a demo to people, I kind of show them time-based testing and so on. I'm like, how do you do this at the moment? And a lot of people just go, well, we kind of make changes to our site and we mean to track the changes and we just totally forget. And so as part of SEO is really remembering to look at the data after you make changes, so you know how the optimization has gone. And so if you're coming at it from a new point of view, I'm sure you've made changes to sites and you've made changes to pages. Come into SEO testing, there's a free trial that you can sign up to. Come in and create the SEO tests for the date that you made those changes, put in the details of what you did and so on. We'll collect the data for you before and after and show you the results of how those tests went or how those changes went. And you can get started from there. It's as simple as that.
Love that. And for those that want to get into become an SEO professional and get into the SEO game, this is the last question I ask for all my SEO professionals. I mean, what would your advice be to them?
That is a good one. I would say specialize. So assuming you already have interest. So for me, because I had a software engineering and developer background, it was a technical SEO side of things that I was always interested in. And it always surprises me that more developers aren't interested in SEO. I'm sure you've heard of projects before where websites have been rebuilt by developers or so on. And after all the development work has been done, they bring an SEO in to look at it. And you're kind of like, you should have bought me in 12 months ago, right?
Yep.
So I'm always surprised that more developers don't find SEO as a subject interesting, because it's like a simple set of rule-based things, isn't it, effectively, and like guidance to follow, best practices, which developers generally like. So if you've got a development background, SEO is there. You can go a level above just being a developer and be included in lots of other meetings and discussions if you know SEO and you're an SEO expert. But if you've not got a technical background and you enjoy writing, there's the content side of things to get involved in. And if you haven't got tech or writing background, then there's link building and PR, I guess.
Love that. And for this episode to feel complete for you, I mean, any last comments, and how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter quite a lot. I kind of fly under the radar in terms of SEO. So it's quite funny. I only went to my first SEO conference last year. Went to Brighton SEO. So I've managed to be doing SEO for 24 years before going to a conference, which I think is quite a good thing. And I was impressed with the kind of the pre-roll of the introducing Nick Swan, that you managed to find some interviews and stuff I did, because like I say, I kind of fly under the radar and kind of keep myself to myself a little bit. But if you do want to find out where I am, Twitter is probably the best place. So, or X these days. So my handle's just Nick Swan on there. Or feel free to reach out. So just drop me an email, nick.swan@seotesting.com. And if you're watching this, we'd be happy to sort you out with an extended trial. So it's 14 days by default. But if you drop me a message and say you saw me on the SEO show, we can hook you up with an extended trial. No problem at all.
Love it, guys. You heard that here first. Get some extra trial dates on your sign up. Just hit Nick up. Can you go and the last thing I always ask, I mean, if you have a special talent, I mean, do you have any instruments back there you want to play for us?
I got 2 guitars. I can play any Oasis song you want.
Oh, let's go. Play something for us. Just play us off.
No.
All right. So can you hold on for one quick second while I sign off here? Hold on for one quick second.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support the channel. It helps a lot by liking the episode and sharing it. And I will see you next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, because the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre DeVera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Woo!